how to be more creative. As a poet, as a musician, as a painter, right? How to be creative in the feminine energy, right? Like I've said in another video about there are two forms of creativity we have, right? And they're in the great Shiva and Shakti dance, and that is the creativity of the feminine and the creativity of the masculine, right? And the great intertwining we call the Kundalini energy. And for those of you who want to be more creative in the feminine, right? Let's say you're a musician, a poet, a painter, that part of you're in that sort of creative expression is to get in touch with the heart frequency, right? In the heart frequency will be your greatest inspiration. Right. When we talk about the masculine, like if you're a scientist or some sort of mathematician, like any scholar, basically, getting in touch with the earth, we call the natural science. That is usually what inspires these people, right? If the masculine energy is the natural science, right? Tapping into that, right? But if you have the poet side, you're about the heart, you're about the unconscious, right? You're about the feelings, right? So what can really help your journey of being more creative in the feminine, right? The femme consciousness is getting in touch deeper if you're a man or a woman, right? We see a lot of men, they can get these sort of, especially men, they can get these sort of creative, you could say, these blocks, we say, because they don't have the feminine, right, within themselves. They're not cultivating that feminine energy. The same thing with women, when we can get these sort of creative blocks when we're not really connecting with our feminine energy, right? And when we connect with that feminine energy, we're starting to connect with our feelings, and we're starting to recognize our feelings as alchemy, as a ceremony, as like a ritual, as like a rite of passage, right? The heart has to do everything with the esoterics, right? With your spirituality. And that comes out through play, and that comes out through wonder and, participation with nature, and even creating a garden, and even going to a farm, and, being with the animals, right? That's all about the heart side of the body that wants to be in union with the plants and the animals, and it wants to share, right? And wants to care and wants to nurture, right? So when we can get more into that, even just nurturing our succulent plants, right? Or even like if we have if we like horses, to be around that is going to actually really elevate the heart frequency, because through the poet side is basically a transmission of the heart frequency of you, right? It is really, you're transmitting the exotic, ecstatic sort of love and compassion you have for the plants and for the animals, right? It's like the commanding of your self-worth, right? I am here, right? I am that I am, right? When you hear that in poetry or in music or painting, it's like, I am that I am. When you think of like Da Vinci, right, and his paintings, right, you can just see I am that I am. Right? When you listen to like Prince music and see him on stage, it's like, I am that I am. And it's just so undeniable, right? Or when you read a poetry book, right? It's like, I am that I am. And that I am that I am has to do with you working on your self-esteem, you working on your character, and you working on your courage, right? And that's everything about the heart. That's everything about you developing you, right? The I am that I am. So when we work on our self-esteem, our character, and also working on our courage, that's where we're really going to start to experience this sort of creativity becomes more of a ceremony, right? It becomes more of like a ceremony of when we think of you connecting with the tribe, with the elders, right? You connecting with the futurist inside yourself, right? Connecting with the earth and really asking the earth, I desire to receive these messages, these energies, right, that move up the soles of my feet into my belly, into my heart, so that I can better care for myself, my people around me, and just for my life experience on this earth, right? And that is more of a feminine sort of practice of how we as poets or painters or musicians can be more creative, right? Because all of that really does come through how inspired you are by the earth. And that's why you see a lot of poets like William Wordsworth that is so prolific in a thousands page sort of poetry right over his life. It's so prolific, and even Lao Tzu is because they both have this same desire to want to participate almost ceremoniously with the earth, right? And when we look at great scientists as well, who, again, masculine mathematicians, scientists, that are, again, very, very prolific, they have this great ongoing, you could say, activity in the natural science, I like to say, right? Where they looking at the cosmos, if that's their natural science, right? They're constantly looking at if they're, into geology, they're constantly looking at, the rocks and the earth, and just constantly going out there and seeing how they can get more tapped in. So I think at the end of the day, it's seeing how you can get more tapped into that, the what that creativity is about, right? So if it's a scholar, get more into that masculine, right? Which, again, that earth science, right? The earth science. And then we talk about the feminine is getting, more in touch with your feelings, right? More in touch with the you could say the hearth, right? The hearth is the heart of the home, the kitchen, right? The hearth, the heart of the home, and see how you can create a heart of a home that feels quite comfortable and that feels quite, you could say, ceremonious, and it's a celebratory place for you, right? Because a lot of this, this heart energy, when we talk about a lot of this great creative force, right? Even within Krishna and Radha, this great creative force is really about this feeling, this sort of exotic, I am that I am, with the people around you, right? With the sort of the celebration that you have with the food and the fine food or the fine wine, or the good conversation, and feeling nourished, right? On an emotional, spiritual level, right? As a poet, that's what really, again, everything about music, poetry, and painting, there's a sense of dark emotion, right? Because that's life. But there's also a sense of light emotion, which is the wonder, which is like the gratitude, the appreciation, the sort of, the breakthrough, right? Having the breakthrough. And when we don't have any breakthroughs in our life, it really is about the heart, and how we can kind of close that big energy off to us, right? And then not feel as much breakthrough as we should as human beings. So it's just getting in touch with that feminine energy. Either you're a man and you could be a macho man, or you could be a macho woman, right? And getting in touch with that aspect of yourself, the hearth, right? The heart of your home, getting in touch with what it means to be I am that I am, to be comfortable in your own skin. And again, your self-esteem, your character, as well as your courage. Because the heart, the unconscious, is about character development, right? And when we're not developing our character, our creativity is going to reflect that, right? It's going to reflect our character development, right? And a character development is like the shamanistic journey that you go through, and that's going to, and you're initiating yourself into, these virtues of being courageous and being, having a, integrity, and having self-esteem, right? And that's a ritual, that's a rite of passage. So you have to think of the passage of yourself, and the obtaining of these virtues, and the sort of, earning of these virtues through, showing up for your demand to really gain the spiritual alchemy of yourself, right? And that's going to help you to become more connected in this connectivity, right, with the people around you, in the energy of your own heart, your own emotions, your own tribe, the own earth, wherever you live, geographic region, right? And therefore the expression of you is going to be quite grounded. It's going to be rooted in something that actually has depth. And when you're rooted in something that has depth, that actually has an experience, people want an experience, a rite of passage. People want to be initiated into these virtues of courage or self-esteem or character through your art. Artistry is the backbone for society, and society desires, yearns, is hungry to actually be triggered into these awakenings that will give them a greater courage or greater self-esteem or greater character. And I think when we connect with that sort of natural rhythm the inner self has with the outer self, the society, we really start to understand that it is really, the society is hungry to actually excel and to not just dwell in emotions, in the dark emotions, right? It's the dark age, the dark night of the soul. But they also want to experience the virtues, the philosophy, the sort of spirituality, and the sort of, you can say, the craftsmanship, right? The character development of themselves through you, right? Through the channel of you, right? The heart frequency of you, the transmission that is you. And they can receive that, and they can dance with that, and they can repeat it, right? They can recite it and get their own sort of awakening from it, right? The awakening that will help them to move the energy in a more ceremonious way with their own lives. And I think that's what, the matters of the heart, when, creativity, poetry, music is really about. It's about creating this sort of ceremony. Either it's a ceremony of grief, or, ceremony to, help release the grief or the poverty, or, the darkness, right? The dark emotions. But also about the ceremony of, the embracing of, I am that I am, or the empowerment, or the, honoring yourself, that kind of thing. So the heart, the female energy is a sort of a self-blessing, and that's what creativity is for the female, is a self-blessing, right? So the poetry, the music, the painting, it's really a self-blessing in the way you look at it, and it's there to bless you, right? Again, if it's about darkness, it's really about blessing you through helping you to not make these type of mistakes, right? Or to have this breakthrough, to find your way through the dark night of the soul, right? So you can liberate, right? Let us liberate this painting of, a bunch of people, scarcity type of thing, right? The same thing with math and science as well, right? It's just there's a different approach, right? That's more about how we can govern our earth a lot more orderly, right? That's what math science, how we govern the earth a little bit more orderly, having the tools to be able to understand, right, the organisms, animals, and the whole cosmos, right? So we can have a more intelligent sort of capacity to relate to each other, right? But the heart is all about you creating a ceremony that is for the breakthrough of people.